welcome to our TV show.
Welcome to our TV show.
Let me put on some more light in there.
Welcome to the comedy show called Our Life. Right?
Yeah, like this whole reality is a comedy show, so where are you taking it serious and not just having fun with it?
Yeah, and hi everybody, day 2. And what if today was the best day ever?
It can't be, Becky. There's too much drama going on in the world. There's too much trauma. You're not allowed to have a good day when everyone else is miserable.
Yeah. Well, that's all right.
Interesting point of view. I have that point of view.
Yeah. Well, I've been too much for people my whole life, whether there's drama going on or not, right? So I'm always just a little bit.
Well, yeah. So everywhere you've all been way too much for everyone. Too much joy, too much happiness, too much fun, too much joy of living. And everywhere you were so much joy of living that you didn't even have a reason to be that. And so people judged it in you and you shut it down. Can we just try and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, calling shorts, boys and beyonds, which was interesting because I just spoke to you how like last night before I went to bed, this person started like leaving this message on one of the posts that I made on my Facebook page. Which
I'm just curious what post it was. Was it something about happiness?
It wasn't my post. It was somebody else that I reposted it, but it was like a different perspective on what's going on right now. And it was just talking about the earth. What if the earth is resetting itself, and talking about like, what if the virus could be a contribution to us, and just giving a whole different like perspective on it, which I liked. And it talked about the earth and like, the way the dolphins are showing up now in the Venice canals, and China's skies are clearing and all this stuff is happening on the planet. It was kind of talking about that. And this girl left this comment, like, who I barely even know, like she's like a girlfriend of a guy I used to work with.
Okay.
And she left this big comment like saying I was insensitive and what about the people who'd lost families and all this. And it's just very interesting to see also where you go when people judge you. What do you do with people's judgments? Do you resist them? Do you react to them? Do you go in to try and defend yourself? Do you go in to try and prove, because I could almost, I could feel like I want to like prove to her, like, fuck you, I am caring. You know what I mean? No, don't do that. Like, or do you just like allow them to have their judgment of you? Because it's like their judgment of you really has actually nothing got to do with you. So everywhere you have been judged, criticized, everywhere you've been told you're mean and insensitive and unkind and you don't have a heart and evil, and everywhere you've defended for and against that and resisted and reacted to, can we destroy and create it?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, only shirts, boys, beyonds. Because remember, what people judge you for is what the judgments they have of themselves.
Well, and everywhere that you've been judged to be super kind, and so it's really like the opposites that will stick you too, because then when that person defines you and you buy it, then that's all that is available for you.
You have to constantly prove then that you're kind.
You have to constantly prove that you're kind, and you are nice, and you are like, they're all manipulations.
Yeah.
And
so interesting, because he does say in this piece here, you've got to do interesting point of view with every single solitary point of view, not judge which ones are right and which ones are wrong, which ones are good, which ones are bad, which ones you like and which ones you don't like. You're willing to do interesting point of view on things you've decided you don't like, but you're not willing to do interesting point of view on things you decided you do like. And therefore you can never actually ever achieve interesting point of view.
Yeah. So how many points of view do you have in your life right now that you're not willing to have interesting points of view with?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. Everything that is great. Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine boy shorts and beyonds.
Yeah, like how many of the positive points of views you have of yourself, the good points of views you have of yourself that you're trying to uphold and maintain and project that out into the world every day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm kind. Oh, I'm caring. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sensitive. Oh, I'm care about my
Yeah.
family. Oh, I'm a good person. You
Yeah.
know, all interesting points of views.
It's so funny that you say that, because here's a great example that popped when you said that. Is like I wanted to do the abuse hold, so I listened to the abuse 30 times abuse hold call, and I didn't do it because I was like, oh, I was abused. Like that was never my intention.
You mean
Which is
you were
funny.
never abused?
Yes, that's what I was like. I was never abused. Yeah, like, and that's really more of a like people have been really abused, right?
Yeah.
So I discounted any type of abuse ever until I listened to that, but I just wanted to go to the abuse hold because I was going to be at this class. So I listened to it and then listened to it and listened to it. And so it is so funny that I actually locked into place for me, and what just came up for what you said, is that my dad, my stepmom would always say how horrible of a person I was. Like I was bad. I was a bad kid. I was terrible. And not only my stepmom, actually a couple of my mom's friends. I was terrible. It was horrible. And so what I did is by listening to this, what it brought up is then my whole life I've been proving how kind I am. Not from kindness, not from like the no point of view of like the kindness of spirit and generosity, but of let me prove them wrong. Because as a little kid, I was told I was bad. So I was like, let me prove how actually how good I am. And that, that point of view is, of course, did I go around then giving myself up for everybody just to prove I wasn't bad,
I don't think anyone else here did that, only you.
Only me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many of us have been judged as kids, or all our lives have people projected at us how bad you are, how terrible you are, how awful you are, how mean you are, how vicious you are, how angry you are. And then you buy that, and then you try to prove the opposite, and then go around proving how good, how great, how nice, how kind, never giving you choice. Always coming from a proving, which creates the beingness. It's like a bastardization of being.
Yeah.
It's like where you're not actually being you, you're trying to prove you're being.
Yeah. And you give up all choice for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the thing with proving is that you don't ever be for you then anything. So you're also trying to prove it. So you're always in judgment of yourself.
Always.
So then the minute and then everyone gets to control you with the point of, by even thinking, someone could even just think for a second, oh, you're mean or you're unkind, and you'll go straight into proving the opposite.
Yeah.
Everything that is can be destroyed and created.
Yes, please.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, only shorts, boys and ants.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so grateful for, being on these 14 days with using these tools, and with all of you and with you, Amy. If you choose to be interesting point of view, you get present. So even right now, if we all just it's because ask you shall receive works, right? And if we're all like trying to work these tools, trying to do this right, but actually so everywhere, like you've been doing that, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all night, boys, shorts, and beyonds. And if right now we're all like, hey, I am going to choose to be interesting point of view. I'm choosing to be present with all of you on this group and with Amy and anybody listening to this in the future. It's really just, I'm choosing this, asking, hey, what would it take to choose this? Now we're present. Like what I've seen, like we're working with all, with everybody, with you guys, with Amy, everybody, around the world, is one of the biggest things that makes like their life not work is that they're not present in the situations that do not work. So like for me, I wasn't present, like what you just said, like if I was present, I wouldn't, maybe there's times I'd be choosing to be kind. And maybe there's times that like it didn't work for me and I wouldn't choose to be kind. Right.
Yeah. So you're constantly in the positive and negative polarity.
Yeah. And I'm not present, because if I was interesting point of view, I would actually be present and then have choice.
And then you would also give people what they can receive, not what you've defined you need to give them based on your judgments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which is so interesting because, you know, like how can you be present here and then not present here? It's like what you just said. It's like the constructs of this reality that we've created.
You
So,
know, yeah, sorry.
yeah, no. So there's just all of that. Like, so wherever you've chose to be present here, not be present here, like, and all the constructs of this reality,
Yeah.
everything that is times a godsend. We just trying to create all that. Yeah.
Right. Good back on your shorts, boys and hands.
Yeah.
So also just pop there, like, you know, like if you, because I get that some of this might be a really like head fucky conversation for some of you, and you may be in your head trying to understand what we're saying and understand it with your mind, which, by the way, your mind doesn't get this. This is something you're being, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'd like to just take a moment, really, Beck. What if we just ask this question?
Yep.
Which is what you're talking about. Be present with the energy, not with trying to figure this out, you know, because this stuff, that's the information, like this information, interesting point of view, being present isn't figuring it out with your mind. It's actually something you're going to get energetically. And it'll energetically start changing you and how you show up in the world. So right now, if you just took a situation and go, okay, take a time in your life, right?
Yeah.
Where someone did something for you, which they said was kindness. They were like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm doing this thing for you. Like, you know, which they portrayed it as kindness, you know, and you thought, oh, they're so kind. But it was, there was, what's the word? There was conditions attached. There was expectations there.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm doing this thing for you, but now you owe me. So take a time in your life where that happened to you. You don't even have to like know a pinpointed time, but I'm sure you've all had an experience of that.
Yeah.
And what it's created in your world. And now maybe take a time in your life, hopefully you have one, where someone was just being true kindness. They didn't expect anything of you. They weren't looking for anything from you. They weren't trying to prove their kindness to you. They were just being true kindness. Oh, and look at what that created in your world. Totally different.
And for everybody that can't recall just true kindness,
yeah,
you're not wrong. Like, even for me, it's easier to even picture my dog. Like,
someone,
or like, hi, or like just
maybe someone smiled at you. You know what I mean? For me, I just saw Dane just being with me, present in a class. You know, it wasn't even he was saying anything. It was just him looking at me and seeing me. You know, and seeing me, the being, not everything I decided I am. So it may just be a stranger looking at you and smiling at you. You know.
Yeah.
Very different. So.
Yeah.
So when we are going through the world trying to prove our kindness, we are actually not being kind to others. We're creating that positive, negative polarity in the world, you know, and we've defined also what kindness is. We've defined what caring is. We've defined what bad is. We've all these definitions. And this is where interesting point of view starts to take you out of these definitions. So then you can actually get what energy is required in any given moment. Oh, Jenny said someone paid for my order at Panera Bread the other day.
Oh, yay!
So where were we in the book? We were on page 30.
Yeah, we're on page 30, I think.
So you were on Gary.
Do you want me to be Gary today? Still?
Go for Gary.
Huh?
Gary talks a lot, but go for it.
Do you want to be Gary?
No, go for it. I think we were at you know, let's say you meet a homeless man on the street. We're halfway down the second page. On page 30.
Let's say you meet a homeless man on the street and he asks you for money. If you do alignment and agreement, you might say, oh, this poor, unfortunate man, it's awful that he's on the street. Maybe I should give him some money. If you do resistance and reaction, you might say, look at this guy. He's a bum. Get a job, buddy.
I have to say,
I've done both of those.
Yeah.
I
tend to go to resistance more than alignment.
Well, I have to say, I'm always like, what? Because I always talk to my kids about certain things. I'll be like, it's choice. Like,
Yeah.
like it's not just one choice that leads you to where you're at, but it's like choice after choice after choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you are interesting point of view, you neither align and agree with a point of view, nor do you resist and react to it. You would see the homeless guy and say, "Wow, that's an interesting choice." You don't get swept away with the trauma and drama. You are the rock of Gibraltar that keeps everything in order around you. Huh. When you do interesting point of view, the stream of life comes at you and goes around you, and you're still you. And the homeless guy usually won't even ask you for money. When you aren't an interesting point of view, you get caught in the stream of this reality and get washed away. You lose utterly.
You lose you.
You lose you. Which, you know what, and what's so cool about interesting point of view is like you're in then question because you're present with that person and in question and like giving him money if it would create more and you've already
Yeah.
judged him. Like, what if it would create more even for you in your future? Like, you don't have that choice. Gosh. Ugh. So a while ago, it hit the news that a congressman from New York named Weiner posted a picture of his Wanger on his Twitter account. Everybody got all riled up about it, and they eventually forced him to resign. My point of view was, well, interesting point of view. What does that have to do with his job? Yeah, me too. I was like, huh? Does the fact that he has to show his Wanger mean he's incapable of doing his job? If that were the case, we would have no politicians. They all have to show their Wangers one way or another. So it's just an interesting point of view. Huh. Yeah. So somebody said to me, I try to do interesting point of view, but I don't really get how to do it because I only do interesting point of view with the things I've already decided are interesting points of view. Huh. It's not about what you've decided ought to be an interesting point of view. It's about every single solitary thought, feeling, and emotion you have. Everything is just an interesting point of view because none of those points of view are even yours to start with. Like, that's kind of like what we talked a lot about yesterday, that stranger in a strange land. Like, if you don't have a definition for something, everything is. Like, if you're willing to see everything for the first time, you haven't defined actually what it does, what it can do, what that even, what that even is. So,
Said you've got to do interesting point of view with every single solitary point of view. That's the one I read already.
yeah. So you're willing to do interesting point of view on the things you've decided that you don't like, of course, but you're not willing to do interesting point of view on the things you've decided you do like. And therefore you cannot actually ever achieve interesting point of view. What fantasy and beingness are you using to squelch and suppress the quantum entanglements that would allow you to be interesting point of view? Everything that is times that God's only destroying and uncreated all.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds.
So would an infinite being actually have any points of views? When you begin to function from interesting point of view, I have this point of view, you get to the place where you don't have any solidity about anything that comes up. In other words, rather than getting emotional about something, it's, well, that was interesting. Rather than getting fearful about something, it's, that was interesting. Rather than get angry about something, oh, that's interesting. You end up being interesting point of view. You can be it when you start to choose interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Interesting point of view is what little kids have. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
It's the way they function. It's actually how we've been taught not to be. Interesting point of view is the antithesis of everything you've learned from the time you were tiny. You naturally are interesting point of view. Like, we come into the world as kids, like just being that. And then you have to teach yourself not to be it. So all the fantasies and beingness you've specifically not to be interesting point of view, will you destroy and create it?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, only shorts, boys and means. We're inviting you to do something that will create a totally different possibility for you, but you have to do it. That's why we're having these conversations about the 10 keys. So you can apply them and do them and become them. So look at that. You can apply them, do them, and then you become them, and then you can live as them instead of feeling there's something outside of you that you only do sometimes or don't do well or don't understand. Should we leave it there?
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that should be home play today, just to even read that a few more times, right? Like the invitation to create a different possibility. When you just said that, apply them, do them, become them, live them. And then instead of feeling like there's something outside of you that you only do sometimes, you don't do well, don't understand. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Really
So, the home play was what you said at the start, like being present today with everything that comes up, the good, the bad, all the points of views, and noticing, and then maybe, okay, interesting point of view. I have the point of view that I'm a brilliant person.
Yeah.
Just noticing where you come to conclusion,
Well, even right here, like, well, that's interesting, right? Like what, he used what if you used that for everything today?
Yeah.
Everything. Anybody tells you anything, wow, that's interesting. And actually, like, you do actually become them, because like if you were on here yesterday when Amy was like, hey, or like I'll call Amy about something that comes up, because stuff comes up, and you want to look at them. And I was, when Amy was talking about, it's really, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And actually people fascinate me. It is interesting. That doesn't mean like, oh my gosh, I love people. It doesn't mean I hate people. It's just like, oh wow, that's interesting. Like, things do fascinate me. And if you can be, that's interesting for everything today. What if it even was like, oh, I want some food. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, sorry, Jenny just asked me to post a picture of the page for people who don't have it. So I'm going to do that in there now.
Oh.
Okay, guys, interesting point of view for the day. Have fun with it.
Have so much fun with it.
And I posted the picture of the page in there.
Yay.
Great. All right. See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.